guys, it's Laura. Welcome back to Wellness Wednesday, and today I want to talk to you about something that is near and dear to me and also kind of a two-edged sword, and that is being a perfectionist. I am a perfectionist. Hello, my name is Laura. I'm a recovering perfectionist, and this is an area in my life that I've really tried to take a step back from because I feel like in some situations it's good to be quote-unquote a perfectionist because you want to do a project to your best ability, or you want to accomplish something and it requires detail and focus, and that's all good. But I also believe that there's a way to take it beyond the good and into the realm of not so good, and that is kind of taking it overboard and being a perfectionist to the extreme, which is probably where I was. And I'm working actively on kind of reining it in a little bit and becoming a little bit more flexible, because I have anxiety. It's something I've struggled with for over a decade, and my anxiety also stems from having control. So if I feel like I'm not in control in a certain specific situation, that is the situation that causes my personal anxiety, then I have those feelings of anxiety. So I like to be in control. This also goes to the perfectionist side. That's something that I feel like I'm in control. When I'm being a perfectionist, I can control the outcome. In reality, it's two different things. You know, having control over a situation and being a perfectionist is two different situations. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about perfectionism today, and maybe you can relate to something I'm saying, that maybe you're being a little bit, too perfectionistic in your life. And I wanted to invite you to maybe journal and think about some of these questions. These are something that I just recently did myself, and I thought they might benefit you as well. So I've got some questions here. If you want to pause the video real quick and take time to grab a journal and see if you can answer these questions, or come back and watch it in a later replay. So dive into this and just kind of see what comes out, kind of see what flows. First of all, do you seek approval or recognition in certain areas of your life? I know for me, I do. I am actively involved in my businesses and running those, so of course I'm looking for approval and recognition there. I also love to do projects like home renovations, so I'm always looking at doing the best possible thing that I can. And I do have areas of my life that I thrive on, that accolades, those recognition. Partly because I'm also a single mom, and so I don't really get, like, my kids aren't going to me, "Hey mom, that was a fabulous dinner," all the time, right? Or "Mom, you cleaned that toilet really good." So I'm missing out a little bit on that pat on the back. And for me, that's one of my love languages. And for any of you guys who are familiar with Gary Chapman, he wrote a great book, The 5 Love Languages, and there's different ways that speak to different people. And so getting that kind of words of affirmation is important to me. It makes me feel special when somebody's acknowledged what I'm doing. But again, you can take this a little too far. So the second question is, where does your need to be perfect stem from? And I think for me, it kind of goes back into tying into that control, that need to be in control. And so I feel like if I'm being perfect in a situation, or I've done the project to the best of my ability, or done the home renovation to be amazing, or something like that, that I am in control of that situation a little bit. So I've really learned to separate the two so that I don't feel necessarily the need to be perfect all the time. In fact, I was just working on a project when I was recording a video, and it was a cooking class for this last week for one of my businesses, and it wasn't perfect. And normally the old me would have been like, let's redo it, we gotta get something better. And even here with the Wellness Wednesdays, I've gotten to the point where, I've just messed up in this video actually, and I'm still going because I'm kind of getting back to the concept of done is better than perfect. And so I'm letting go of that need to always be perfect all the time, and realize that sometimes just being done is okay. And even though the product that you put out, I'm not putting out a bad product, I'm offering value. The cooking class was great. It was just me looking through the lens of a perfectionist. It wasn't 100% perfect, but I'm letting go of that need to be in control, and realizing that, okay, sometimes it's just okay to be done, or sometimes it's just okay to give your best effort, even if that's not phenomenal or shattering stuff. Next question, do you ever find yourself motivated by a desire to please others? I think yes. I think this is really common too, because sometimes, maybe we're not getting that in other areas of our lives. And some of you, I know I can be a people pleaser. And so I'm more likely to do something for someone else than I am for my own self. And I like to make sure that people are happy around me. I kind of can bend over backward because of it. But at the same time, based on what's happened in my life for the last, I don't know, several years, it's kind of a situation where I realize also I need to take care of me. And that means that I can't, do all and be all to everyone else. I have to learn the word no, and I have to be okay saying that. And I don't necessarily have to give any kind of explanation. No, I can't do that is plenty and sufficient. And that goes against my whole desire to people please and say yes all the time and do whatever. I realize that when you say yes too many times, especially if it's stuff that may not be in alignment with your mission or your values or your goals, you're just spreading yourself too thin, and ultimately creates this stress on you that you put on yourself. In fact, I have a good friend of mine, she did a video and it was totally resonated with me about how, if you're living in a high stress environment, how much of that stress are you putting on yourself? Are you creating deadlines? And, that may not be really a deadline versus life or death or anything like that, but you're creating this. And so you're kind of putting this additional stress on yourself. It's like a self-trauma type of thing. And I realized I totally do that. I totally do that. So if you are motivated by a desire to please others, that's not necessarily means you need to say yes to do whatever you're being asked to do. And then the last question, in which areas of your life are you less focused on perfection? I don't know, for me, I feel like some of the stuff around my house is not as clean as it could be. And eventually it gets to the point where I'm like, I cannot stand it. I have to clean it. And it gets to be a priority in my life. And then I do it. But that's going back again to the concept of done is better than perfect. And so if it's done and it's adequate, fine, I'm good. And I've started to let that go. I've also let that go with respect to my children, because a lot of times they'll do something for me that, I would not have done it that way. Like, they are doing it and it's adequate and it's fine. It's just not how I would have done it. And so I'm letting go of that tendency to be a perfectionist in that area as well, because I want to encourage and thank them for their willingness to help me out and for doing the job that was asked, even if it might not be 100% like I would have done it. This could be like folding a towel or something like that. If it's folded, it's good. Or cleaning the bathroom, for example. If it's clean, it's good. And it's good enough. Now, I'm not letting my kids do like sloppy jobs. I definitely want to teach them and equip them and help them to be, participatory people in the family. But there has to be a point where you're like, done is better than perfect, right? So that goes back to that. And here's my challenge to you over the next week. They had a whole concept about doing something out of the norm, doing something like bad, basically, somewhere that you would have been a perfectionist in, doing something opposite, doing something quote unquote bad for this week. So I challenge you, what is one area that you are, have this pattern, and break the pattern this week. So if you always do this, you always go to this specific place and you're just kind of rigid and regimented about it, do something different. If you always go to this, and it can be little things, like I always go to this grocery store because that's my grocery store. Go somewhere else this week, explore, do something different. If you always, do a certain thing at a certain time, take a different route there, do it at a different time. It doesn't have to be wild and crazy, although some of the examples in the class were a little wild and crazy, like streaking naked through places, but whatever floats your boat, The point is to let go of that tendency of being a perfectionist, and let that go. If it's harmless to the people around you, then think about somewhere that you can kind of deviate this week and explore with being less of a perfectionist. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments. Are you a perfectionist like me? And I'm a type A personality. I'm like seriously a type A personality. So I have a feeling that those also go hand in hand. So I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you do? What suggestions do you have for breaking out of the mold of have to be a perfectionist all the time? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. And until next week, I will talk to you soon. I hope you guys are having a fabulous day. Bye.